Not too long ago, my wife and I were discussing, and she made mention of the fact that almost every time she consults in the medical center where she works, she encounters complaints from students, young students, of infrequent and irregular menstrual periods. So after everything has been checked and every other cause has been excluded, a diagnosis of polycystic ovarian syndrome is made, also known as PCOS for short. PCOS is one of the leading causes of infertility in women of reproductive age. That's women between the age of 18 to 44, 45. One of the leading causes. That means when you check it, about 1 in every 10 women, 1 or 2 in every 10 women, young women you check, they have PCOS. That's quite common. Don't you think so? That's quite common. One of the leading causes. I know how important the issue of fertility is. That's why we need to discuss this thing. That's what provoked me to look into this matter, to check it. You know, a lot of young people have these complaints, females, but they will not tell you, but they have it. Some of us have friends that are going through these challenges. In a whole year, probably just 2, 3, or 4 times they will menstruate. It's a cause for concern. So we need to discuss that. By the way, I'm Dr. Sai, a medical doctor and the principal tutor of Dr. Sai Physiology Academy, DOPA for short. Welcome to DOPA Tonic, where we democratize medical knowledge, making it easy even for a 10-year-old to understand, so you can take better charge of your body and health. Now let's get started. So now, what is PCOS? How can we define what's PCOS? Polycystic ovarian syndrome. The definition actually is that it's a syndrome of ovarian dysfunction, 1, with cardinal features of hyperandrogenism and polycystic ovaries. Now don't get confused, we're going to explain it. All right, of course, you know, ovarian dysfunction means there's some problem with the way the ovary functions. Okay, the ovaries, where you have a lot of eggs. Do you understand? Eggs are the female gamete. That's what gets fertilized to produce children with sperm. Okay, the ovaries produce eggs. So there's some dysfunction, malfunctioning. That's that. What's hyperandrogenism? Number 2. Now, androgens are male hormones. That's what they are. Androgens. They are male hormones. So it's talking about the fact that you have higher than normal levels of male hormones. Women are not supposed to have too high a level of male hormones, if not to cause problems. But they have, so it's part of the whole ovarian dysfunction. Okay, because the ovaries contain eggs, and it's those eggs that secrete, okay, estrogen and progesterone, which are female hormones. But you know why it happens like that? It's because they're all produced from the same pathway. Do you understand? They are called steroid hormones. That's testosterone, male hormones, okay, or generally androgens. From cholesterol, it's a steroid. That's why they call it steroid hormone, because they are produced from cholesterol. So the same pathway. So the enzyme that will now convert, so androgens are produced first, then some enzymes that females have that will now convert it to female hormones. There is problem with those enzymes. Do you understand? That's why it's not produced. And these are the things that, those hormones are the things that control the female reproductive cycles, menstruation and all of that, ovulation. Do you understand that now? Then the next thing is now polycystic ovaries. It's just talking about the fact that you have so many cysts. That's cysts are fluid filled sacs, so many of them. They're actually eggs, okay, that are not yet developed, but so many of them like that. Okay, so these are the three things you use in diagnosing PCOS. There's menstrual disorders, very common menstrual disorders. Number 2, hyperandrogenism, high levels, which produce some outward features. We'll talk about that. Then thirdly is the polycystic ovary, which actually you cannot, it doesn't manifest. You need ultrasound to see inside and discover all those. So when you have two of these three criteria, okay, after excluding other causes, okay, excluding other causes of hyperandrogenism, excluding other causes of polycystic ovaries, excluding other causes of menstrual disorders, a diagnosis of PCOS is made. Do you get it now? So the next thing you ask yourself, what causes PCOS? Actually, the exact cause is not yet known. Okay, so there are still a lot of gray areas in PCOS. But there are some facts that are already known about PCOS. One is there's some genetic predisposition. That means it runs in families. Do you understand that now? I mean, there are some problems with some genes involved in all those ovarian function and all of that. Okay, then another one, insulin resistance. What do I call it? Insulin resistance. That means, you know what insulin does? It reduces your blood sugar. Okay, it enables glucose to enter into the cells of your body. So the cells of your body are not responsive to insulin, which is a hormone. That's what insulin resistance is all about. So the body tends to produce more than normal insulin because of the resistance. Okay, and that high level of insulin affects the ovaries negatively. So in a lot of people with PCOS, they have it, but it's not all of them. Okay, that's why it's called a syndrome. Okay, you have different symptoms all together. Okay, you have some in this one, you don't have in others. Some people will manifest some symptoms, some others will not manifest some symptoms. So we're going to mention the symptoms, the clinical features, okay, so you understand it better. So what are those features you find in someone PCOS? One of them, very common, up to 60 to 75% of people with PCOS manifest the symptom, which is what? Menstrual irregularities. Infrequent irregular menstruation. You understand? A woman normally should menstruate 12 to 13 times a year. But people with PCOS, maybe 4 times, 5 times, or maybe 6 times for those that are good. They even have some extremes twice a year, in a whole year. Do you understand that? 60 to 75% of them manifest the symptom. That means you still have a few that don't, their menses are regular, but they have PCOS. Do you understand that now? Okay, so it's high. One of the cardinal features, menstrual irregularity. Their menses are irregular, they are not ovulating frequently. Then also following these menstrual disorders is what we call subfertility. Subfertility in the sense that it's not impossible to get pregnant, but it's difficult in getting pregnant. Subfertility, and this is found in up to 75% of young women with PCOS. Difficulty in achieving conception. Then another feature, this occurs in 50 to 60%. It still follows with what we've mentioned. So those that eventually get pregnant, there's recurrent miscarriage, especially in the early part of the pregnancy. 50 to 60% of those with PCOS, when they eventually get pregnant, their pregnancies are threatened. Miscarriages. Okay? Because there's a disorder in ovarian function, of course, in hormones. Okay? Hormones are part of what sustains pregnancy. Do you understand that? So they have a lot of miscarriages for those that get 50 to 60% of them. Then you have another one called hirsutism. Okay? Hirsutism. What do we mean by that? It means you have male pattern of hairs. That means in about 50% of them, it occurs in 50% of them with men PCOS. 50% of them they're hairy. Okay? Because of that, what? High levels of male hormones. Do you understand that now? So the high levels of male hormones is making them have more body hairs, facial hairs here and there. Following that also, that's increased male hormones. Acne. Okay? Acne also happens. Then another one, in about 40% people with PCOS, they are obese. They are on the overweight, obese side. Do you understand that? 40% of them, 40, they are obese. Okay, so you see the insulin resistance. Insulin resistance is actually one of the main problems of type 2 diabetes. So to actually have type 2 diabetes, so you see all the different features. So you find some of these things, not all of them are present. Okay, that's why we gave the percentages. So 60% of people with PCOS are not obese. That's what we mean. Okay, in 25% of people, their menses are actually regular. Okay, so you understand. So that's how it happens. Then the next thing you want to ask yourself is, how do you deal with these things? How do you treat? That's what everybody's interested in. That's what everybody's interested in knowing, especially the fertility aspect of it. That's what really worries a lot of people. Do you understand? The woman, that's what actually brings them to the clinic or to the hospital. They're not seeing their menses. They're worried. Am I going to get pregnant? In fact, a lot of doctors have told them, you have a very slim chance of getting pregnant too, and so on and so forth. You're not seeing your menses regularly, twice a year, 3 times a year, 4 times in a whole year. It is cause for concern, the fertility problem. So we're going to deal with that. All hope is not lost. Okay? So PCOS, by the way, is incurable. Okay? You can't cure it, but you can manage it for an improvement in the symptoms. Do you understand? The fertility aspects and so on and so forth. The insulin resistance, all of that. Okay? There are treatments based on the symptoms the person presents with. So if you've enjoyed this content so far, please click the like button and also subscribe and turn on notifications so I don't get to miss any new content that we drop. I'm going to be dropping content like this every weekend. So subscribe and share. Inform others. They need to be enlightened. All right? We are democratizing medical knowledge. So now, the management. That's the most important thing we need to talk about. Everybody wants to know about and hear about. Okay, how do you deal with some of these symptoms? So we're going to deal with about 3 most important ones. Okay, that's the irregularity in menstruation, the insulin resistance, and then the subfertility. Okay, so let's go right into it. You have been diagnosed with PCOS and you find out that you are obese, you're on the big side. Okay, and you have insulin resistance. One of the things that has been found out to improve the condition is weight reduction. Okay, weight reduction. A lot of times women, once they lose a lot of weight, okay, through diet and exercise and all of that, their menses become more regular. And if they are trying to achieve conception, they take in. For some people, that is all they need to do. And some people, it works like magic actually. They lose weight like this, drastic improvement in their condition. Do you understand? For those that are obese and have insulin resistance. Do you understand that now? Now, what about those that are obese without insulin resistance? You also do what? You also reduce your weight. It still improves the outcome. So those that are lean with insulin resistance, what do you think they should do? Of course, they're already lean. There's nothing to lose. Again, what do you think they should do? Insulin resistance. There's a drug called metformin. Metformin is a drug that some diabetics they use. Okay, so it increases the sensitivity of the cells of your body to insulin. So it deals with insulin resistance. Very important drug. So, but first of all, you deal with it. Weight. If the problem is weight, okay, you're on the big side, deal with the weight first. When you've dealt with the weight, or you are naturally slim and there's still insulin resistance, then that's when you now go into drugs. You understand that? Metformin, classical drug used. The same thing. A lot of people, when they start taking that drug, metformin, okay, there's drastic improvement in the condition and their symptoms, including the menstrual irregularity and even their fertility, the ability to take in conception. Then, what of the case whereby there is no insulin resistance? You know, insulin resistance is not in 100% of them. Okay, you are lean, you've lost weight and whatever, but there is no insulin resistance. What do you think you should do? The first one are those that they are young people that are not trying to achieve pregnancy. They want to solve the problem of menstrual irregularities. Okay, there's no insulin resistance. What do you do in such conditions? You solve that problem with another hormone called progesterone. Okay, there are two hormones that control women's reproductive cycles and all of that: estrogen and progesterone. So it's found out that there's low progesterone in people with PCOS. So your doctor, the gynecologist, is an expert in this area. We are just enlightening you. You need to see an expert, okay? They will tell you more, okay? This is just to help you to intelligently participate in the management of your condition if you have that problem, okay? Or if you know someone that has it, you can give good advice. They can watch this video. All right, so progesterone, you take it as pills at certain time in the reproductive. So you take it as pills. So the doctor, the gynecologist will tell you when and how many days, usually 5 days or 10 days, thereabout, okay? So when you start taking that progesterone, it helps to make the menstrual periods more regular. Without progesterone, only estrogen is acting, okay? High levels of estrogen or sometimes normal. So you have infrequent but heavy. When it now comes, it's very heavy. So progesterone deals with that, okay? When the problem is. Then if the problem is fertility, look at where it's very important now. If the problem is fertility, now want to take in the drug of choice that's commonly used. It's called clomiphene. Okay, clomiphene. It induces ovulation. But if you have been taking progesterone for regularization of menses, you need to stop it first before you, because then we found out that it reduces your chances of taking it by 4-fold if you are taking progesterone. So you need to stop progesterone first. Then you now start the clomiphene treatment to increase your ovulation, okay? So that's when the problem is fertility. Do you understand that now? That's when you've done that. There's no problem with insulin resistance and so on. If there's insulin resistance, you deal with the insulin resistance first, and usually it improves everything, okay? When you've dealt with insulin resistance, or there is no insulin resistance and the pregnancy persists, then you now use these hormones, okay? Clomiphene, progesterone. You understand that now. So infrequent menstruation, subfertility, and insulin resistance, weight reduction, and if your weight is good and there's still insulin, metformin. Then subfertility, clomiphene. Then irregular periods, progesterone tablets. They are drugs, okay? So in all of this, consult an expert, a gynecologist. This is just to enlighten you. All right, so kindly share this video and subscribe. All right, so I'm going to see you in the next video.